much. What about you?
Sorry about that.
Not a lot. Just painting around my apartment.
Nice. Well, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time and coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. No worries. Thank you for having me.
Definitely, definitely. So, so, the first thing I want to start asking you is, how did you get to be part of trim season, and what drew you to the role?
So I actually had made a music video with Ariel, God, like a year before. It was for JPEG Mafia, and it was super fun. And we became fast friends. I thought she was so cool. And so, she hit me up about trim season, this character, Julia. And I mean, even just the concept of the film, I was hooked right away. I was like, oh my God, because no one has even touched that time or subject at all. This like sort of the dangers of trimming weed in Humboldt County in 2014, or so it was cool. A lot of I mean, for all of the supernatural elements, there's a lot of realism and truth
Mhm.
about that scene that she brought to it. And I loved all the characters, not just my character. I thought all the
Yeah,
characters were so interesting. um I loved Beth when I found out that she was going to be the lead. I looked up because she hadn't really done that much. Like, she had filmed one other movie right before then. So all I had to look at was like a couple short films that she had done with friends, and even just from that, it was so it was so clear how talented she was. She has this natural um she just has this natural honesty that comes through in her work.
hmm
She's never trying to posture. She's never being insincere or disingenuous, and that's what she's like in real life. She's very open, very honest, uh, really just the loveliest person. And so it was very easy for me to be totally devoted to her.
Nice. And
Yeah.
in the world of horror, it seems like weed 420 and horror seem to go hand in hand, right?
They're a match made in heaven. Totally. I know. I mean, this is why I say, like, it was so cool that someone finally married those two things.
I know,
I mean, that
right?
alone, I was like, oh, hell yes. Sign me up.
And I noticed you've done quite a few horror films. Like, this isn't your first time doing one. And what do
No.
you love about doing horror films, especially a horror film like this one?
I like to one thing I like about horror is just it's all about gray areas. It's all about
Hmm
exploring the gray areas of the human heart and the human experience. Um, so, I like the fact that I'm often given an opportunity to really stretch myself and to explore different things. And even this, I mean, I'd never played the best friend necessarily before. Not to denigrate that role or anything. I just hadn't played it before. Um, and the point of that role is to support the main character. Like, literally, I mean, so that's why it's
Oh
called a
yeah,
supporting character.
yeah,
But with
definitely.
Julia especially, she feels responsible for Emma. She feels responsible for everything that happens in the film. She feels responsible for encouraging her to, put herself in this situation that she kind of had reservations about. And, my job is to be her rock and her foundation and her safe place. I'm the one that she feels safe with, and it was really important for me to honor that and respect that. Now it helps that I have so much respect for Beth She made my job very easy. She made it very easy. I mean, even in life, I still feel very, protective of her.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like she is a lovely, lovely person, really. I,
Nice.
I, I hope she has a ton of success in this industry.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you filmed on this like real creepy farm, and was it eerie at all shooting on this farm at nighttime?
Well, it's funny. Like being in horror films, it makes you a lot less afraid.
That's true.
Because you
That's
see
true.
behind the curtain, you see how everything is made. Oh, there's the hose that's gonna go under my shirt so that the blood spurts out, and like so which I will say kind of almost makes it easier to connect to because you can be relaxed in what you're doing. I think there was only one time that I ever got freaked out, and it was during a music video, and we were filming in the basement of this abandoned mental institution
Oh my
that
God.
it was like supposedly haunted. I don't necessarily believe in that stuff. I'm more just afraid of the dark because I can't see anything and I don't know what's there. So they wanted me to like kind of wander down this dark hall into this pitch black room, and I was like, no, no, I'm not doing that. They're like, no, all you have to do is walk and they go into the room and there's nothing in there. And I'm like, yeah, you say that, but it's no, I'm not doing that. And they were really, really sweet. And they had they had our line producer go into the room and wait for me in there. And I was like, okay. Now
Oh
I
my
know that
God.
someone's like, but it was a complete like lizard brain thing. This like caveman, dark is bad, cannot see, predators in the dark. It just like clicked in. But gore and stuff is not even an issue. It's actually fun to
Oh,
get into those things. That's the funny thing about acting. Like you have so much fun committing to the most horrible things that happen. Uh,
no. And the last thing I will ask you is where can fans follow you at and follow the film at?
sure. So the only place that anyone can follow me at is Instagram. I am not a social media person. It gives me a ton of anxiety. I'm mostly just there for the memes and to kind of update people on what I'm doing if anybody cares. You're like, oh, here's a thing I'm bad about it too. I'm really trying to be better. I am trying to be better and take it more seriously and it not get all in my head about it. But I'm always still like, oh, here's a little thing I did. If you guys you can check it out or not. I mean, whatever. It's whatever. I'm such a terrible salesman. It's awful. Even when I was like teenager and I tried working in retail for like a second, I couldn't sell anything to any. I was like, yeah, I mean, it looks okay. I mean, you don't have to get it if you don't want it. You know what I mean? So Instagram is it for me. That's it. You can follow. It's just at Alex Essoe. I got a little check mark, so it's me. And yeah, and I think the link that I have up is still an interview with Marco Pierre White
Okay.
because I fucking love that guy. He's just the
Nice.
coolest. Yeah, it's just a clip of when he made Gordon Ramsay cry, and it's one of my favorite things ever filmed in the history of anything. So that's how you'll know it's my page, is if that's the link. And you can follow and and you can follow the film on all the platforms. It's on Instagram, it's on Twitter, it's on all those things. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely check it out. It's fun.
oh, all right. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you.
Of
Bye.
course.
Hey,
Hey,
how's it going?
pretty good. How are you?
It's going pretty good. Thank you. Thank you for coming on, Grue, and I appreciate the interview.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Thank you. So like the first thing I wanted to ask you is, you have this new horror film that's coming out, and how did you get to be part of the film, and what drew you to the script?
I auditioned first for Emma actually. And
Oh,
yeah, Ariel and I've worked together before, so I saw her name and I was like, I I have to do this. Like I have to work with her. Um and yeah, so I auditioned for Emma, and then I got a call from a manager, and they were like, "You got the part." And I was like, "Okay, great." I thought that I'd gotten Emma, and then they were like, "For Harriet." And I had to like go back in the script, and I was like, "Who is Harriet?" Um, and then yeah. And then I was like, I was honestly shocked like when they offered me that role because I read it and I was like, oh, this is like the mean girl. And I just didn't, I don't play those roles. Like I don't see myself doing that. But I ended up having so much fun. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I love Harriet so much. I think that she's, I think that she's so fun.
so,
I
so
mean,
at first you didn't want to do, but then once you start playing the mean girl, you're like, this is fun.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And well, it takes place on a farm, and it's a horror film that is a mixture of horror and marijuana for 420. And what do you love most about like doing horror?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I mean, I think it's all really fun. I think it's so fun as an actor to like get brutally murdered and then like go home and like eat dinner and like you're fine. Like when are you ever gonna be able to do that? Like that's so sick. Um I don't know. I'm the type of person who I love living in another world and like just getting out of my own life, and horror like it definitely gets you out of your own head. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely for sure.
totally.
And what was it creepy for you at all? Like, was it eerie being on a farm like at nighttime, and it like I mean when you watch the movie it looks creepy, but when you're filming it, I'm sure it's not.
It was definitely a little bit creepy, like at night, like in the woods. I didn't have a ton of stuff there, but it was scary. I would say that Jane was pretty scary. I mean, she's like the nicest person ever, but like as Mona, she was definitely scary.
Nice. And uh, of course the movie isn't out yet, but without giving a lot away, is there any scene that you had the most fun doing?
That's a good question. I think any of the scenes where it's all the trimmers, I had so much fun. Like everyone's so good and so fun to work with, and a lot of times we would like riff off of each other. Those scenes were like heaven. They were so fun.
And I'm really shocked that more horror films haven't been made about like the combination of 420 and horror. And I mean, they go hand in hand with one another.
I agree. I agree.
Was this movie fun, like for you to shoot? Like, I mean, it's a fun horror movie, like getting high and murders and blood and farms and
No, yeah, it was so fun. I mean, all of like the like I mean, yeah, we were obviously we weren't smoking real weed, but we were smoking like just smoking on camera is a huge vibe. Like the actual like the weed that we're trimming, those props were so beautifully made by Katie, the production designer. And yeah, like the red weed, like all of the weed props were so sick. It was yeah, yeah. I loved all that stuff.
awesome. Was there any, I mean, doing a film like this, was there any funny or cool stories from from filming from the set?
Oh, I feel like there were so many that I now can't remember because it was 3 years ago. But we definitely had a lot of fun for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know you're pressed on time. You're on a press day. So the last question I will ask you is like, where could fans follow you, follow the film, watch the film, and all that fun stuff?
The film is, I don't know exactly which theaters, but I know that it's at some Draft House theaters. Like in LA, it's at Alamo Draft House. Starting on Friday, you can see it all week there. And then if you can't go to a theater to see it, you can get it on, you can just buy it like online. Um, yeah, my Instagram is Ali the Ninja, ALLY the Ninja. That's the only social media I have. So yeah,
That is an awesome name. Like,
you.
I'm guessing you're a martial arts fan.
Yeah, yes, I am.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It was really nice meeting you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
As a backup, and you guys are all set to begin.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And the first thing I want to start asking you is you co-write and you direct this brand new horror film, Trim Season, and what inspired you to co-write and make the film? Oh, shoot.
Oh no, she was frozen for me. I guess her connection just booted her off. I'm sure she'll join back any second, but I will send her an email. Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, wait a minute,
These
I don't
things
hear no
happen.
one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
There she is.
Sorry, I don't know.
Hello. How's
I'm
it
here
going?
time. Here's the cat.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time and coming on the show. I appreciate it.
For having me. Thank you so much.
Definitely, yes. So, you have a new horror film that's coming out, Trim Season. You co co-wrote the film and you direct the film too. And what inspired you to want to co-write the film and make it?
So actually, I mean, I'm honored. So I am honored to have any writing credit at all, but just full acknowledgement to so one of our producers, Shawnee DeMott, his friends Megan and Cullen were the ones to kind of start. They'd both been in the actual trim business and worked in Northern California, and as they started throwing around the idea for really tweaking the already inherent danger up there into something supernatural, they brought on an amazing screenwriter, David Blair, and with Jane Badler, who's obviously our amazing Mona, they were developing it together. And David's script then was the one that they sent to me. So we all worked together, tweaking things for the cast and making sure as we dialed in locations and on set that, he was very gracious to let us, weave things into. I love letting actors really breathe their own, experiences into the characters. But so much I feel like 2 years, if not at least a full year of development before I was even brought on. So
Oh, wow.
the inspiration, of their experience. And then I had to catch up I went with my Katie, who's amazing. We went up the coast to, Megan taught us to trim and we visited farms. So they had the experience that I didn't. So I was like, I got to catch up if I'm going to be writing anything on this.
Wow, okay. And the farmland, the farm area, like, especially when it's shot at like nighttime, it's a very creepy, eerie kind of area. Where did you wind up filming at?
So we actually shot in Utah, But when Katie and I went and we were scouting, and obviously we'd watched, like the Murder Mountain documentary, so we knew these areas. And when we went up there we wanted, knowing we'd probably shoot in another state, to know all the different, even Katie was picking up brochures on like local plant life and everything. So we shot just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, in a town called Brighton. But the whole time, and then the amazing cinematographer Luca Bizzelli, who was working with us, we had planned into the shot list where we wanted to seem like iconic parts of Humboldt County, so that really, if we have our trimmers in the van and they would look outside a window, we knew that actually Luke and I went back up after principal photography and got those little interstitial elements, because we really, and we were everyone in Brighton, Utah was so gracious, and the crew there was just absolutely amazing. So we had so much to write, like, fog and trees and everything, but to at least, I knew, I was like, if it's a specific area, if it's not, TBD fantastical, if we're saying this is a particular area, I want to be able to see that bridge and that, that particular river. So 98% is Utah, wrapped in those little things, but we knew all along where we wanted to put them. So yeah, it was we had like 1 week by the time we wrapped filming, when the snow was coming and all the leaves were changing. We're like, we have this window that it'll look right, and then it'll look like, it's a ski resort town.
Oh wow. And by being there, like filming at like night time and everything, like, was it ever eerie for you and the cast? Like, did anyone ever get like scared, or was it eerie at all, like filming on that creepy farm at night?
Yeah, see, that was when you mentioned the script. What was so interesting about talking to people who had been in the trim industry was that when they were working, they'd be working all day, and at night you would be hearing, and you'd already been smoking all day, and then you'd be hearing maybe even like gunfire from other farms. Like, you'd be hearing all these things and being even afraid to like go to a secondary spot to use the bathroom or something. They're like, I'll just hold it in all night, because it was so inherently creepy up there. So that was when they came to me and they said they were doing this witch story, and I loved how it could tie in, instead of just being like a dartboard, if like it's a witch plus and something that doesn't make as much sense. I was like, oh, it's so close already to say, like, what if these sounds and what if these weird things, and how being high, like the specificity of time dilation and a little bit of paranoia, that witch. But then in the actual place that we were shooting night, I feel like, I mean, maybe creepy for some people, but at least just in terms of challenges, we legitimately had like what actual, the trimmers in the movie would have dealt with. We had so much rain and thunderstorms we had to go down. You can't shoot obviously for safety, but we even had like a moose and its baby her baby come to set. So we had to like move, it's less for supernatural reasons, but there was a porcupine, like the big red tent. There was a moment that the porcupine went in the tent between shots, and he was just doing his thing. And somebody was like, be careful, they shoot their quills. And I was like, I don't actually shoot their quills, but we should just be mindful of the wildlife. We had to wait for him to, on his own, leave the set. So fortunately it wasn't a witch, but it was a porcupine and a moose.
Oh wow. And what I love about like a good horror movie is the music, the score. I'm especially like with Halloween, with Michael Myers, when you knew that he was coming. How did you pick like the score of the film, the music of the film?
So Joe Bashara had worked with Shawnee DeMont, one of our producers, before. So that was I don't even know how I would have been able to contact him without him already being in the family. So that was as soon as Shawnee brought him up, I was like, that would be, obviously, his work before. I was like, if he has the time, that would just be, and so often in film, you like hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And people, but the fact that he was then available was, I knew we were in good hands, because like you said, it's that so much of balancing that tone and the grounded realism of our trimmers and Mona's fun, fantastical theatrical energy. Like he wove that so well when we first did our spotting session, and we talked about just the journey also obviously of Emma as the through, you know, the through line of the heart of it, and having this, you know, these moments that are really important to her, even in the chaos of LA, like with her friends, but then going to this place that ends up having all these sordid, you know, ties to it. But all along, I had really wanted to keep making sure that the emphasis was that it wasn't that like the cannabis itself was evil. It was that Mona and her lineage had corrupted it. So trying to, and we see that like with the younger brother, Malcolm Ryan Donahue, I wanted to have these moments between Emma and Malcolm where we saw like what it used to be, these moments of beauty, and then see what the corruption was doing. So being able to have that score, how well Joe Bishara could do the, you know, the peaceful, like Emma's come from the chaos of LA and is actually looking around at the peacefulness, but then there's something a little off, and then a lot off. It was just, you know, I was pulling up references, you know, from like Del Toro and, you know, all my favorite films, and he just, yeah, it was, he knew right away. There was definitely no moment of like, oh, that'd be cool, but we're doing a slightly different version. He knew right away what we wanted. So lucky.
And the last question I will ask you is, where can fans follow and watch the film, follow the film at?
Oh, thank you. So it comes out in so trim season in select theaters June 7th on Friday. Alamo Drafthouse in particular. I know New York, Los Angeles, I believe Austin. But it'll also on same day as those theaters, which you can hear the score best in those theaters for sure. But all of the main video on demand websites. We have the Twitter, or I guess now it's X. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything is just Trim Season Movie, and there's a lot of different updates on there for rental, for purchase. But June 7th, you know, I hope I can see everyone in the theater. You know, they'll be doing a few Q&As, but online, obviously, you know, put on a great, you know, sound system to do justice to that score. And I'm just so excited. Like I said, after it was still during the pandemic when we were shooting, and to have it out there. Trim Season Movie on all the social handles. I guess if you want to follow me, I'm getting better at social media anxiety, but it's just the at Ariel Vida at all of those things as well, except for TikTok. I'll get a TikTok. Trim Season Movie has a TikTok. I don't have a TikTok yet, but I will soon.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. It was really great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
How are you?
It is going good, thank you. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time. I appreciate it.
Of course, I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely, yes. So the first I want to start asking you is you're starring in a brand new horror film, Trim Season, and it mixes cannabis with horror. And what did you think when you first read the script about a horror movie like this?
You know, I feel like after I got the role, like I was able to realize that there was a whole subgenre within horror, that like there were things like that. But prior to that, when I got this, it was so interesting. I didn't know where it was going until I got to the part where they get to the farm, and then I was like, oh, it's that kind of farm. Okay. So it was really interesting. I feel like I think they do a really good job at being able to like fill the characters out, and there's like a lot of like character development that happens that makes I feel like the environment that they're in just help strengthen those relationships in a way that it doesn't take away from it. But I was definitely interested to see how like the actual like cinematography and things like that would come from something like that, since you don't see it very often.
Definitely, yes. And how did you get to be part of the film?
So I actually I got the tape and I read the script, and in the beginning I wasn't 100% sure like what the team behind it, and so I got a chance to actually meet Ariel over like a director's meeting, and we were just talking about Emma's character, and I feel like I saw a lot of myself. I saw in Emma in terms of being in your like mid-20s, trying to, you know, figure it out, and like the weight of adulthood and all of that, and the ways in which it's in conversation with, you know, marijuana, and like the idea of like coping, of what it means to be able to like learn how to be an adult whilst also trying to figure out a way to not just cope through life. And that's not the same thing as living. So as we were having different conversations like that, I feel like I also brought in a lot of things of like, I'm like, what, like in my own identity as a Black woman, like, what does that mean for me? How does that, in that conversation, like by making Emma a Black woman, ultimately, if I was to play it, like, how does that add a different texture to the actual conversation and the politics surrounding marijuana, even like going into these spaces that are already not necessarily safe, but in addition to that, what are the consequences to come for me versus other people in the cast and things like that. And those are different like anxieties and textures that I was able to bring that, you know, maybe initially they hadn't seen Emma as a Black woman, but being able to bring more of myself and being able to see that Ariel like wanted that, I feel like made me feel really seen and helped me like really bring more of myself to it.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And do you feel like the cannabis and horror mesh well together?
I think definitely. I mean, they don't call it a bad trip for nothing. You know what I mean? It's definitely a journey, and I feel like the heightened senses and all of those things are like, I feel like tools that are used in horror anyways, that being able to have that next level of like having this drug that does what like horror movies do already or use those tools, I feel like I feel like they work really well together.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, after you see the movie, you see how well it fits into the horror world.
Yeah, it definitely has its own texture for sure.
Definitely. And is there like is there a scene that you had the most fun filming?
Ooh, that's a hard one because I feel like all of the scenes, you know what? I'm gonna say that that one scene where it was all of the cast members together and we're all go like, or like the trimmers together in the trim house. And we're talking about like um all of our like family stories or our family contexts and stuff like that. That was really fun because I feel like Ariel was so good at being able to let us fill the space or create those moments with improv as well with some of the lines. And so there's so many little moments and that may or may not have made it into the movie, but that just organically, I feel like it just felt like almost like an improv scene, and it felt so real. And I feel like we all connected so much with each other. But that was really fun because we would throw out different lines, you know, to try to like in character, you know what I mean, to try to like break, but it helped like heightening the actual reality for all the cast members.
Oh man, that's nice.
Yeah.
Was there any funny or cool stories from the set that you could think of?
Oh my gosh, so many. I mean, okay, one of them being I was just going through like my like Google Photos to like look back at the B-roll that we had, and there was this one where there was just like giant moose that was just like right there because we were in the middle of the forest like in Utah too. So I was like, look, I'm not messing with nobody's moose. Like I'm not, look, you can talk to the AD about this, Mr. Moose. Like it's not about me. But it was just like huge, and we were all like really scared because it was just like watching the scene. So we were like, should we stop filming? Should we like wait for it to like walk away or something? Because those are huge. So that was one moment, and there was like a video of Bex like on top of the car and at the van, and they're like moose, and we're all like, look. It was just a random moment, but other than that, there's also like moments right like where we'd hype each other up, like right before we went on set or something. So there's this video of me and Juliet like in one of the basements in the house at Mona's like in Mona's house, and we're there and we're listening to like Monster by Nicki Minaj and Kanye West, and we're just like air boxing, like sparring in the air, and we're just like going in right before we go in. And it was just like so wholesome because I'm like, I feel like we were just all so connected with each other that there's so many of these little moments that I could just go on forever about it.
Oh man, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, super special, super special.
And I see you did a horror movie, Sick, and now you did this horror film too.
Mhm.
What do you love about the horror world?
Um, I feel like I love how heightened it is. I feel
Mhm.
like it's really fun as an actor to be really specific about where exactly these um emotions are coming from. And I feel like being able to like do that work, I feel like as an acting nerd to be able to be like, it's not just you're scared because you're scared, and being able to figure that out and all of the different things that can trigger like human reactions just in general, I feel like is really interesting. And I feel like just in general, to be a woman in the world, there's a lot of things to fear, you know what I mean? And to be able to like really break those down and being able to portray those, but also being able to portray really strong women and characters in general that are not like they're not going to go down without a fight. Like those are my favorite kinds of characters to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And I know you sing too, so what would be your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh, that's good. I do sing. I mean, my go-to karaoke song is usually Take a Bow by Rihanna, but that's just because when I was
Okay.
like 12, Rihanna's like mother of all savages. So I was just like, you know what? Like, let me just keep that energy. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you're on a press day, so I'm gonna ask one final question, and it's just where could fans follow you at and what and follow the film at?
Yeah, so my name is Bethlehem Million. You can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, also Beth Million. I have a bunch of music out there as well, and you can see my movie, Trim Season, come out on Apple TV plus Vudu, and also at theaters, some theaters near you, and Sick on Peacock. But yeah, you can find me around. Of
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. I appreciate it.
course. Thank you, Rocco.
Love these names. What's this? The Grue Room?
The Grue Rume Show, yes.
So funny.
Thank
So good. I love horror. It's hysterical.
well, thanks for coming on the Grue Room Show. I appreciate it.
It's good.
So the first thing I want to start out asking you is that you got a horror film that's coming out, trim season, and how did you get to be part of this horror film?
Well, Sean Lamotte, who is one of the producers, sent me the script. And this must have been 5 years ago. This is a long time
Oh,
ago.
wow.
And he said, Jane, there's a role in this script that is so good for you. And when I read it, I went, oh my God, this is like one of those roles you can just eat up, and it's not often that I get roles like that at this point. So I thought this has to be made. So we tried to get it made for like a year, and finally, I mean, I think we were able to get funding, and then there was all sorts of issues, as there always is with filmmaking.
Oh,
Finding the right director, and someone brought us Ariel, thank God, and then finding the right location and the cast, and we finally were able to make this film. It was a long time coming, and I was pretty much there from the beginning. David Blair wrote the original script, and then it went through a lot of different, as a lot of scripts do, a lot of different drafts. We had a lot of people come in and work with us on the script. And so, yeah, it's been a long journey, but I've been there from the beginning with Shawnee.
oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm one of the producers as well.
Oh, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And when you first look at the script and you're reading the script and you're reading your character, and right off the bat it's going to be a fun movie, like a horror movie with cannabis, and what were your thoughts when you were reading the script, and your thoughts about what kind of movie it's going to be?
Yeah, well, when I first read it, like I got, it's like I got excited, I could feel my stomach going, oh yeah, this is good. This is really good. And I mean, I didn't know exactly that it would turn out quite as scary and kind of, but not violent, but it's kind of gory. I didn't quite
Yeah.
know that was going to be the case with it, but I definitely read it and thought, this is a fantastic story. This is a great story. And I just love the whole notion based on a true story about Magic Mountain, a documentary. And I love the idea of young people going up, they're down and out, trim the marijuana bud, just looking to make some money. And these poor young people, they just land on the wrong property because
Yes.
run by me, and I have other, I'm looking for something else, not just for people to trim the marijuana bud. Do you know what I mean? So it's like everything goes a bit haywire, Yeah, it's great. It was great. It was great to have a film where I could be the one moving the action along, where I had I had a gutsy role,
Oh yeah, definitely. And what did you love about playing your role, Mona? And it's like, without giving a lot away, it's a villainous role, something similar to what you did in V.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar in that I would say I'm not a particularly nice individual. And there probably, like Diana, is no lengths to which I would go to achieve my goal. So I would say that those are probably two very similar traits we have.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Diana is an alien. So Diana probably thinks differently than I do, right?
True.
Because Diana doesn't have human emotion. Diana doesn't have compassion or pain or any of the things that we associate with humans, whereas I am human as Mona. And so
Yes,
I do have a lot of human pain. And
definitely.
that's what drives Mona, I think, is her human pain.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
So there is that difference. And also, I'm a much older actress now, so I would play it very differently than a young actress, Yeah.
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 And of course, without giving too much away about the film, is there any scene that you had the most fun doing, the most fun shooting?
That's a very good. Yeah, I think I had so much fun with the fight.
Oh, yes.
I really liked the fight. And I really liked my last scene, the one where I explain everything, like this weed, that one. And I, looking out the window and I'm sort of, I liked that. I liked doing that scene. And the sword, and I thought that was a fun scene. It was about 5 a.m. and everybody was completely exhausted.
Oh
And
my God,
I thought,
really?
oh my God, and they were moving very quickly and there were all these props, I had to pick up the knife, put down the knife at this point, then pick up that at this point. I'm going, oh my God, my mind was completely frazzled by this point. And I'm going, please, can I remember all this picking up and dropping and oh my God, and emote. And, so it was fun though. I had a good time.
Okay. Well, when you're shooting on a farm at nighttime, was it ever eerie for you? Like, was anything ever eerie when you were shooting at night on a creepy looking farm?
Yes. It was very eerie because we were in the middle of the woods, and there was nothing around us. And I didn't like being alone. Like, we had the trailers were like on a road on the top of the hill, and then you had to be driven into the woods where we were shooting.
Okay.
And so I didn't want to hang out alone. Like they put all the chairs together, all the kind of actor chairs, those high chairs that actors all sit on. And I just remember not liking to I didn't venture into those woods alone. Like, no way. I would sit
Oh no, yeah.
right in the spot where, and we had a few animal things happen, there was a big moose on the set that was dangerous and we all had to hide. We all had to go into the
Oh my God.
little smokehouse where we were all, where they were having the fake pot, not the real pot. And we were all locked in there until the moose went away. So that was fun though. What an adventure,
Right. It's not every day you can say that you were hiding from a moose, right?
No, it's not every day, you know? Exactly.
And are there any horror films you love watching, like any horror films you watch to get ready for this film?
Yeah, there were actually. I watched, it's funny, I watched Nicole Kidman in a film called The Others.
Oh, I love that movie.
And the reason I watched her, she played the housekeeper in that, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
loved her stillness in it and mystery. She had like a mystery and a stillness.
Yeah.
And I watched some films with Tilda Swinton. I'm trying to remember what they were. Yeah, I watched quite a few films because I was trying to figure out at that point how Mona stood and how Mona moved.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, and ultimately I realized she was very deliberate and very slow. And even in her entrance, when she, you're just in time, when I'm at the top of the staircase. I mean, she doesn't have to give much energy. Like it's just the fact that she's there that everyone notices her. Do you know what I mean? Very different from me because I'm like that. Do you know what I mean? So I had to kind of really slow myself down and be very still.
Okay. Okay. Nice. And was there? I mean, besides the moose, was there any cool stories from the set?
Let me think that I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just all kind of got along. I mean, I think there were a lot of hours, like most films, waiting in our trailers in the dark, in the freezing
Oh
cold.
yeah.
I think there were a lot of those kind of things going on where people going, when are you going to use me? My God, I've been 4 hours in my little trailer, my little honey wagon trailer. But no, other than the moose story and eating too much junk, which I told myself I wasn't going to do. Because when you got that truck with all the candy,
Oh yeah.
bring out the candy. I don't know why they do that to actresses. It's wrong. Like 3 in the morning when all of your resistance is down and you start
Yes.
eating licorice and sugar babies and all that stuff that I can't get in Australia. I don't know. That was my one thing I wished I hadn't done because I could see in my costume there was not it was not as thin as I'd hoped to be. But that's okay. That's my little thing. I love candy.
Well, I'm sure you were drinking plenty of co coffee too to stay up for those long hour shoots.
No, I tried not to because you want to go to sleep. That's the thing. You leave the set at 6 or 7 in the morning and you've got to go to sleep.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't go to sleep, you're in trouble because then you're back on the set at 3 or 4 in the afternoon getting your makeup done. So you gotta sleep. Like that is the main thing. You've got to sleep.
Oh yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
I didn't drink coffee. I'm drinking
Oh,
coffee now. I'm drinking coffee now from my little machine in the hotel. I'm not.
nice, nice. And after doing a movie like this and seeing what happened, will you be visiting any cannabis farms?
Hmm. No. I might be looking for, this is what you can get it for free in this country, right? You
I
walk into,
know, right? Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So that might happen, but I don't think I'll be going to the cannabis farms. No, no, no.
I know, right?
Definitely no.
And like the cannabis, the weed, and horror seems like it went hand in hand with one another, especially if you go to these like horror conventions and stuff. So, do you think it meshed well together, bringing cannabis into the horror world?
Yes. I mean, I hope the cannabis world doesn't mind us doing that, and thinking that we've given it a bit bad name because honestly, I mean, isn't it great that there is a weed that you can smoke where you have superpowers? That's kind of
Right,
cool, right? There's
right.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. And maybe one day there will be, who knows? But you know, some of us smoke weed and feel superpowers, right?
True, true, yes. And I know you're pressed for time. You're on the press day. So the last question that I will ask you is, where can fans follow you at and keep up with the film?
Thank you. Well, I am very active on Instagram, and it's Jane Badler World.
I love it.
Jane,
That's a great name.
Jane Badler World, and yeah, it's all things trim season right now, and yeah, I mean, I'm not really I'm not as active on Facebook and Twitter. I'm more political, so Instagram's probably the thing where I won't lose fans.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the Grue Rume Show, and
Yeah, like your sense of humor.
thank you. It was really fun chatting. You're really awesome and funny. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, see ya.
Bye.